Good morning, welcome back. This is the last, the last webinar in the series of understanding the new Charter of Aged Care Rights, and welcome everybody. There are over 500 people attending today. That's pretty amazing, isn't
Wow.
it? Yeah.
We've had 10 webinars across the series so far, so
It's
good
really
attendance.
exciting.
Everyone seems to be really interested in the Charter of Aged Care Rights.
Yeah, and that's
how it's coming.
Big kudos to you all. So today we're looking at what the Charter means for aged care workforce, and it's proudly brought to you today by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network. Your time is extremely precious. We know in workforce that it is really, really precious, but your participation is also pivotal. So we have Q&A today. Please, in the right-hand corner, you'll find a little toggle to chat. Please send us your questions because we've got some amazing experience here, and we can answer any questions that you have. I'd like to acknowledge this morning the traditional owners of the land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge elders from other communities that may be joining us via the webinar today. There's also a big plug too to Southern Cross Care in Garran in ACT. Big hello to you guys.
Hi there.
Peter Stevenson, the Lifestyle Coordinator, has actually organised a group of residents to sit and watch us today and join in. Please ask us any questions.
Welcome.
That you I think it's great, and enjoy your morning tea. My name is Marie Montgomery, and I shall be your facilitator today in the up-and-coming community events. And I would love to introduce my wonderful panel here. We've got Margaret Brothers, Regional Coordinator, Advocate, Educator from Mollymook.
That's right.
Welcome, thank you. And Craig Gear, the CEO of OPAN.
Morning.
Thank you. So I'll get you both to just chat for a moment and tell me a little bit about your background. And I guess, first of all, Marg, why are you so passionate in regards to aged care and advocacy?
I suppose it comes from my own experience with the quality care that my own parents got many years ago, and I thought, wow, this is such a wonderful thing that people are providing such good care. And as I've said earlier, I don't have a nursing bone in my body, so I thought, what else can I do? And then I saw this job as an advocate, and I thought, well, I could use my teaching background, because teachers are known to be able to talk a bit, and also my ability to just listen and then communicate on behalf of people. And so that's where my passion came from what I saw with my own parents, and then I'm using my experience as a teacher to be an advocate for older people and speak on their behalf if they need me.
Very powerful role that you have there.
It is, yes.
Role.
It is important.
Yeah,
yes.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Great. Tell me about yourself.
Sure. So my background is in health, and I was a nurse as well. And at one stage I was working as sort of in health management in the prison system. And so what that taught me was how to bring together different services to try and, I suppose, deliver healthcare to people who are vulnerable, but also to make sure that they get the best care possible, even whatever the circumstances these people are in. I came to OPAN about a year ago, and for those who don't know, OPAN is the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and we have 9 member organisations that deliver aged care advocacy in the different states and territories. So 1 in each state and territory and 2 in the Northern Territory. And we have members like Seniors Rights Service, who Marg works for, and we'll talk more about the importance of advocacy and what it is. But it's a really essential service, so that's why I'm sort of passionate about working with aged care and with our aged care advocates.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you for that. So guys, today we're going to be looking at rights. What are they? We've quickly looked at OPAN, but probably look at what its role is in regards to the rollout of the aged care rights, the new Charter of Aged Care Rights. What are the benefits of change? What it means to the workforce, yourselves, timelines for implementation, signing requirements, consumer responsibilities, and what you need to do to get ready. and how we can assist you with some of the wonderful resources, particularly the explainer video. Marg and I were just sitting down chatting a moment ago saying how wonderful this video is for yourselves to totally explain each component of what we're discussing today. And you can even have it in segments as well. You can stop, start, download it to your phone, your iPad, etc. It's a really great resource, and we're going to watch that today shortly. Okay, let's now move on quickly to rights. What are rights overall, and what do we feel that, I guess more about rights? And it's often it's not until they're infringed upon or we lose that right that we actually go, wow, that really meant a great deal to me, or this is now impacting upon my daily life. So I'm going to go to Craig first. Can you? I know you recently went to the Jewish Museum.
Yeah, so in going to a ceremony or remembrance ceremony at the Jewish Museum, we were taken in and sat in a room and heard the story of someone who'd been connected with the Holocaust. And up on the wall there was the history of human rights and of the United Nations and how conventions had come about. And then there'd been some children who had written down on post-it notes of what rights meant to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was things like being respected. It's about my expectations being met. And it was about what you can expect as being a citizen of a country.
Yeah.
And some of those things are, Maslow's hierarchy of needs of water, food, shelter, care, love, those sorts of things, and respect. And I suppose it's when those things get taken away in a situation like the Holocaust that you realise how important they are and how important it is to fight for those. And so this Charter of Rights is like, I suppose, in the sense the UN conventions, the protection to say this is what you can expect as a citizen of Australia or as an older person receiving aged care. This is what you can expect and how you can expect to be treated. To be treated with respect and with dignity. And then we'll go through a number of those elements of the Charter throughout this webinar. But it's really important that we actually understand that these rights, they play alongside the other rights or laws that we have in Australia.
Yes.
But in relation to aged care, this is what older people can expect.
Beautiful. Excellent.
I think from a staff point of view, and we are speaking mainly to staff today, it's really, you can look at rights as a way that you care.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking in terms of the rights the whole time that you're giving care to someone, and you're putting those rights at the forefront of your mind, you are going to provide absolutely high quality care.
Yeah.
Because if you're following all those rights and considering all those rights, you will have to be a good carer. You can't miss it. So from a worker's point of view, these are almost your guidelines as well. Even though we call them the older person's rights, they are a really good way of treating the way that you work.
I agree totally, Mark. It's a reflective practice of who you are, what is integral to you, and being a respectful person and providing utmost care. I think, absolutely.
We know this workforce out there is really the unsung heroes.
Absolutely, really.
They're working really hard to deliver high quality, safe care.
Yeah.
And to meet the expectations of the people they're looking after. And here's a way to articulate how you're going to do that.
Yeah. Beautiful, excellent, and I really think the flow on from this will be that there will be more conversations about rights and what it means to you and that sort of stuff across the tea room across Australia. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so we're now looking at what is an advocate, and we have
one here. Ta-da! One we prepared earlier.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Here's one we prepared earlier.
Excellent.
So, well, an advocate is just someone who is on your side. We are very, very obviously on your side. We're not, in the middle. We're not mediators. Our job is to listen to your concerns, to offer some information or advice about your concerns, and then to assist you if you need it. So you don't have to have us to speak on your behalf, but if you want us to, we can speak on your behalf or write a letter or address the issues on your behalf. So an advocate is your eyes and ears and mouth, if you like, and we're there to help to answer questions, to assist you with any issues relative to aged care.
And that's specifically for the older person and their family. So anyone that receives aged care services in Australia can access the aged care advocates, the 60 across the country. 1800 700 600. That's a free call number that works 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday nationally. And that gets through to the state and territory provider. So it's Seniors' Rights Service in New South Wales, ERA in Victoria, Darwin Community Legal Centre up in Darwin, Advocacy, WA, Advocacy and ACT, there's 9 of them all together. And our advocates see about 11,500 people per year and support them to raise their voice, feel empowered as older people and as families, and to, I suppose, resolve those issues early on to stop it escalating to a complaint or to support a person if they want to make a complaint.
Provide that voice.
Yeah.
Because often people don't want to bother anybody, do they? It's like, I don't want to bother anyone, Excellent. And I foresee the increased role of advocacy and advocacy services in regards to the rollout of this aged care rights. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, I think one thing that's universally recognised is that not everyone has a relative or a friend who can assist them. And so even though we do help people who, a relative might ring up or a neighbour might ring up on their behalf, and we will obviously help the older person through them. The value of the advocacy service, of people being aware of the service, is to know that it doesn't matter who you are or where you are in the aged care system. You can ring and talk to us, and we will listen to you, and then we will help you if we can. And look, our preferred method is to ring and speak to your aged care provider and resolve the issue, as Craig said earlier, resolve it as quickly as we possibly can before it escalates.
Beautiful. Excellent. Now, just to be aware, I am using my phone for the Q&A. So
not being rude.
Yeah, I haven't got a hot date tonight. So, I think can you turn that on? The light. Thank you. So we're going to now move over to the the aged care quality standards and the alignment between that and the charter. And they're both effective from the 1st of July. And the charter has rolled 4 charters and responsibilities into a simpler document. And the quality aged care standards align with that. Craig, do you want to discuss that a little, extrapolate or show us how they weave together?
Sure. So the aged care quality standards, and those that are out there who are in the aged care workforce, you've probably heard about this to no end. But they're coming and started, well, they're around. They start on the 1st of July 2019. And I suppose these 14 rights contained within the Charter of Aged Care Rights are almost like the articulation or the person-facing, the older person-facing articulation of what they can expect from a high-quality service under the new quality standards. So, for example, I talk about the standard that talks about clinical care and care and services. And so, right number 1 talks about I can expect high quality care and services and safe services. And what the quality standards is saying is we will put clinical governance frameworks in, we'll put all sorts of things in place, and we'll make sure that the care we deliver you is that. So it's kind of like clients saying, I expect this, consumer statement in the standards, and the standards themselves saying, yep, and this is how we're going to do it, or this is how we're going to be assessed that we're doing this right. So the two play very much together.
Yeah. I kind of look at it being, one is the structure, the framework with all those needed must-have things, and then the rights come in and provide that humanistic colour, that individual painting of what that right or what that care, the aged care should look like for that person.
Yeah, I think at the core of it is the whole concept of consumer-directed care. We no longer say one size fits all.
No.
Yes.
And these two documents come together and say, look, the consumer is at the centre of all our worlds, and they are the most important people, and we will endeavour to provide the care that meets their needs, rather than the care that we decide they're going to get. But I think we have to recognise as well that a lot of aged care is already provided in that way, and the consumer has become very much the focus for many time, and most organisations probably won't have to make many changes because they're already doing it.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. And there are some novel ways that we've been hearing staff getting the charter out there, so putting it into newsletters and having resident meetings and
Yep.
staff education. So yeah,
I know that the advocates use the charter all the time, or use the previous charters all the time, as almost like this tool to say, well, here we're meeting, these are the things that this older person has said they expect because they've agreed to this. These are the things that you're not quite getting as far as what this person is expecting. And so it becomes a really powerful tool, and that's why I suppose OPAN's involved with this rollout in the education, is because we've seen this is a vital way for older people, older Australians, to be able to stand up and have their voice and say, I've got my rights under consumer law, I've got my rights under other Act, but here is what I expect from you as an aged care provider, as an aged care worker. It's really important.
Yeah, no, it's very important. It gives such power to the client, consumer, in regards to communication. Beautiful. I'm just going to check if there's any Q&A. Yes, we have. So a question from JK. Will a playback be available? And I'm assuming you mean of this webinar. Absolutely.
Yes.
We are collecting. We've done 10 and a couple of filmed community events. So we're collecting a selection and putting them onto the opan.com.au/charter site, and you'll be able to play back. So again, great for education.
And we will come to talk a little bit later on about the resources that are available for workforce in using, I suppose, sitting down and using the charter as an opportunity to have a discussion with the person that they're looking after.
I think those discussions are going to open some beautiful kaleidoscope of living experience or lived experience, so that you may be looking after someone for 5 years or so, and you find out a little bit more about them, which I think is so exciting.
Yeah, what a great opportunity to have a discussion.
Yeah. I know, I find a bit more about each of you each time we do this, so
Not too much.
Yeah.
Excellent. And that's also from Sharon as well. So she was looking for access to this webinar and other resources as well. So they are all available.
I think one of the really important things that should come out of this is that the resources are available to you. They're really time saving. So get onto the website and download them, because people have been worried about how are we going to do this. In our workforce we're time poor, but this is going to save you time. So I really encourage you as staff to download these resources, because they are very useful.
Yeah. And it's been great working with some of the peak bodies around the aged care providers. So AXA and Laser and the Aged Care Guild, CODA as well. And so it's been working with those organisations to actually say, well, this is important and let's get the message out. So thanks to all those organisations that really helped as well.
Huge positive energy around this. It's just, it's great. It's
There'll be links, I'm sure, from them about how to access this after this webinar.
All right, I think we should get into the rights. What do you think?
Sounds good.
So, talking about the resources, why don't we watch the video, the explainer video? So it goes for a total of 6 minutes, I think. But you can play segments as well if you wish in the future. So, let's take it across and watch the video.
From the 1st of July 2019, the Australian Government is introducing a new and simpler Charter of Aged Care Rights for those you provide services to, regardless of the type of aged care they receive. The people you provide services to still have the same legal rights as all Australians. The Charter of Aged Care Rights add to these and are designed to help put the focus on the consumer, giving them choice and making sure they are treated with respect. This video aims to help you understand their rights and what your obligations are as a provider of aged care services receiving funding from the Australian Government. Let's go through all 14 of the new rights of those you provide services for. They have the right to safe and high-quality care and services. They have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. They have the right to have their identity, culture, and diversity valued and supported. They have the right to live without abuse and neglect. They have the right to be informed about their care and services in a way they understand. And they have the right to have access to information about themselves, including information about their rights, care and services. They have the right to have control over and make choices about their care, personal and social life, including where choices involve personal risk. They have the right to have control over and to make decisions about the personal aspects of their daily life, financial affairs, and possessions. They have the right to their independence. They have the right to be listened to and understood. They have the right to have a person of their choice, including an aged care advocate, support them or speak on their behalf. They have the right to complain, free from reprisal, and to have their complaints dealt with fairly and promptly. They have the right to personal privacy and to have their personal information protected. And finally, they have the right to exercise their rights without it adversely affecting the way they are treated. As a provider of aged care services receiving Australian government funding, you're required to help those receiving your services to understand their rights and within the timeframes allocated by the Australian government. Consider the tools available to help you, like those provided in multiple formats and languages by advocates like OPAN, including a video like this one made for aged care consumers. Sharing the rights brings a great opportunity to open up a new dialogue with those you provide services for, including their family, friends and carers. This can help you better understand their needs. The new Charter works together with the new aged care quality standards, also starting 1 July 2019 to support quality outcomes for consumers. While people receiving aged care have these rights, they may need to be reminded that others have rights too, including you. Everyone should feel safe and respected. They may also need to consider any existing care agreements previously made with you. When you give your consumer a copy of the rights, you must have signed it. This shows that you understand their rights. If they're comfortable doing so, we encourage aged care consumers to sign their rights. By doing so, they're showing you that they understand and recognise their rights. Consumers don't have to sign, however, and should receive the same care and services regardless of them signing or not. If your aged care consumer is not comfortable signing, or they have concerns about their rights not being upheld, they will be encouraged to talk to you, their friends, family or carer, or for independent help to contact OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, on 1800 700 600 or by visiting opan.com.au. Alternatively, they can ask for more information, give feedback or raise a complaint about their services with the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission by calling 1800 951 822 or by visiting agedcarequality.gov.au. If you have any concerns about the rights of those you provide services for not being upheld, please discuss this with your manager. Or if you can't resolve the issue, you may anonymously raise a complaint to the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission by calling 1800 951 822 or by visiting their website at agedcarequality.gov.au. Remember, if you would like more information or tools to help you share the rights with those who receive care, visit opan.com.au. The Charter of Aged Care Rights, proudly shared by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and quality aged care providers across Australia.
It's an amazing video. The characters really come alive, and I know your favourite, Craig, is Little Men.
Yeah,
So
Angus,
good.
yes.
Ah!
But I think it's interesting. There has been some concerns in the sector around consumer responsibilities no
Yeah.
longer being there. And say that this resource here that the Department of Health has made, we'll talk about how you get that a bit later.
Yeah.
But it takes 4 pages in there and does explain that responsibilities still are there.
Mhm.
And I do like it that it really emphasises, yes, sometimes people get frustrated, sometimes older people don't feel heard.
Yeah.
And that brings a level of frustration. But it's important that people realise that all of us have to have mutual respect for each other.
Absolutely. So just a few little housekeeping. There is a provider and a consumer video. So the provider is full length, and the consumer, we actually have some segments for you as well. And they are available at the opan.com.au/charter website. A few other little things. I believe some people are having some technical difficulties, and we do apologise for that. However, it's often a difficulty within the internet services. However, these are being recorded, so they're going to be there for you to play at another time. So we do acknowledge the technical difficulties. Now we're going to be talking about the rights, and particularly, my favourite part, which is your favourite right. But the Charter describes the rights of aged care consumers, and it gives people receiving care, their families and the carers and staff, a shared understanding of the rights. It really puts them at the centre of care, doesn't it? Yeah, beautiful. So I'm going to go to you, Mark. What's your favourite right?
Oh, it's very hard to, and a lot of people have said this. These are 14 very important rights, and it's very hard to pick one out. But I think there's an overarching theme in a number of the rights, in which is the consumer still has a voice, the consumer still has a say, the consumer still has choices. And so I think that's a really important right to emphasise with older people. Some of them fear that as soon as they go, say for example, into residential care, they'll lose the right to have a say in what happens to them, and they'll lose the right to make choices in their daily life. And I think it's important that those are in the Charter, because it really just does reconfirm to people that you are still a human being and you still have a say in what's happening to you. And lots of aged care providers are doing innovative things, and I've spoken earlier before about one organisation that decided to eliminate breakfast out of the timetable and just let people come down and have breakfast whenever they wanted to, and it was a huge success. And the people felt great because they could turn up early or they could turn up late, and the breakfast was prepared for them. And it actually proved to be a time saver as well, because one staff member could cope with each wing, and so the staff didn't have to rush to get everyone showered in time for breakfast. They could work their way through, and then people wandered down for breakfast. And the only problem they had was one fella called Jack who kept on turning up again and again and again because he forgot he'd had it already. But he enjoyed the trip up and back.
Oh, well, that's good. Good on him. I love it. And Craig, what is your favourite right?
Well, I've probably got, as amongst all of them, but as you'd expect, as sort of a CEO of an advocacy organisation, number 11 is really important, that older people have the right to choose who the person is that's going to walk alongside them, whether they're going to actually speak up for themselves and have no one to walk alongside them. But if they want someone, it's their choice who that person is. It might be a daughter or son. It might be the partner of choice. It might be a friend down the street, or it might be one of us as an aged care advocate.
Yeah.
And it's really important that people know that they can have that access and that right to access. The other one for me is around the right to be listened to and understood. And I think that's it's not a new concept, but it's really emphasising that listening is just one part of it. Yes, you've heard the person, but did you understand what their need really was?
Really.
So that's really important, that it's about them taking time, and particularly as the aged care workforce start to explain the charter to older people, that it might be time just to take some time and do this over a number of days. Have the person make sure that they actually understand. You understand what they expect. They understand as well what's expected. But Marie, what's your one?
Oh, this is new. This is novel.
We always get asked, now, what's your favourite one?
The right to independence.
Yep.
It is so pivotal in my life that I'm doggedly independent and go surge forward in life, and I want that to continue. And I think it is so important and so empowering to have that independence and know that someone else, like Marg as an advocate or yourselves as a workforce, would actually respect that.
Yeah, right.
Because we don't lose any of the life that we have lived as we walk through that door, or someone comes into our home. We are that person, and that wonderful person that you're sharing your daily life with as a staff member. I think it's actually quite an honour to sit down and have these conversations, and I've met some amazing people.
And one of we spoke with Sam Edmonds, who's from the National LGBTI Health Alliance, but also the chair of the diversity subgroup in the Minister's Sector Committee. And Sam was talking about that number 3 and how important that is, that we don't check ourselves at the door when we come into aged care. As workforce, you don't either. And so respecting people's cultural backgrounds, getting to know about their language, but also about their diversity of their sexuality and sexual orientation.
Yeah.
All those things are important, and they don't disappear when you come to aged care.
No, they're very much beautifully part of that individual.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd like to also, because we were discussing rights yesterday at Bankstown, we had a great community event, and a lot of questions came through, and a lot of, when we talked about the favourite right, people started, popping up, didn't they, with all these beautiful different perspectives of even the rights.
And why it was important.
I just think it's just going to grow. This is going to go viral.
Good.
Excellent. All right. I'm just going to check for Q&A, and then we'll go to a wonderful video that we did at Westmont, and we've got Lila discussing the 14 rights. So we've got one here from James. Do you know of there is a requirement to still display the charter in the facility foyer, and when is this available? Okay.
Yep. Okay, so James, we are going to come to resources a little bit later on, but there are posters that are being made. My understanding is that it's not legislatively required to display it, but a great idea, because it's almost like putting the badge at the front door to say we are going to respect people's rights, and we actually understand what those are. What is required is that the aged care provider needs to sit down, or needs to not necessarily sit down, you can do it a number of ways, but to actually explain the charter to people.
Yeah.
And then for the provider to actually sign to say, I've explained it to this person. The older person or their family member or authorised representative then gets given the opportunity to sign. And we'll talk about signing a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
It comes up a lot, but more ways that you can display this, show that your organisation and you as a workforce are committed to upholding these rights, the better. The better,
absolutely. And there's some nice posters and things coming out as well.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you, James, for that question. And one from Mel. As a healthcare organisation, do we have the agreement signed by clients or the clinician or one per organisation? Do we have the agreement? Are you talking healthcare, like the agreement with the aged care, or is it the actual charter that you're signing, Mel? So the charter, and we're going to look at signing that very shortly and have a bit more of a discussion.
We might come back to it, but I think my comment still stands about it's every older person has to get a copy of this from the person who provides support to them. So if you are providing Commonwealth aged care, you need to give that to the person, and that kind of comes out when with things like where there might be multiple service providers, like under CHSP.
Yeah.
Each person does need to send them a copy. It's your responsibility under legislation to provide a copy, have a conversation. Could be a conversation over the phone, could be face to face. We think it's best face to face, but there's time to do that. We'll come to that.
And we also acknowledge that rural and remote and regional areas, there's sometimes
We'll have to be a bit innovative.
Let's get out there and look at things. Okay, let's look at the Westmont video. Let's look at Lila. She's so gorgeous.
All information about myself, including information about my rights, care and services. I have the right to control over and make choices about my care and personal and social life, including where the choices involve personal risk. I have the right to control over and make decisions about the personal aspects of my daily life, financial affairs and possessions. I have the right to my independence, like that. I have to be listened to and understood. I have the right to have a person of my choice, including an aged care advocate, support me or speak on my behalf. I have the right to complain free from reprisal and have my complaints dealt with fairly and promptly. I have the right to personal privacy and to have my personal information protected. I have the right to exercise my rights without adversely affecting the way I am treated.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lila. Thank you so much. And thank you to Westmont at Wodonga. Some apologies there. We have spelled Wodonga. That's our biggest blooper, I think. Incorrectly. That was Tom. So, yes, Lila at Westmont Wodonga, and thank you very, very much for your support. Okay, let's now look at the Charter of Rights for signing, the template. So the template is available for signing and available on the
Department of Health website.
Thank you, Craig. So let's talk about that. What is the importance of signing? Is it a difficult process? What sort of is the step-by-step process that you would recommend? Mark, I might go to you. Oh, sorry, I saw you drifting off there. So I
was listening carefully. The process is obviously, as Craig's already alluded to, it's a one-on-one process, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the general manager or the CEO of the company, or it can be anyone who has the authority to sign on behalf of the organisation. And it's very important. It's actually compulsory that the aged care provider signs it, but I think we need to stress how important it is that the older person signs it, because it's an indication that they, number one, recognise their own rights, and number two, that they acknowledge that they exist, and that they acknowledge that they've entered into an agreement with the organisation, that those rights will be honoured. So we really encourage their staff to encourage older people to sign it, and if they've got any questions or got any concerns, they can give us a ring and we can talk them through it as well. So not the staff, the older person, because some people are a bit reluctant to sign stuff. We spend a lot of time telling people not to sign what you don't understand. So if someone is reluctant, then they can ring and speak to someone from the OPAN service about why it is a good idea to sign the agreement.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the thing, is then using it as the opportunity to ask the person, okay, why don't you feel comfortable? And often it is about, and I don't quite understand what this is or why I'm being asked to sign. So that's I suppose an opportunity to again continue these conversations. Mark mentioned then the person authorised by the organisation, and I suppose that's the thing. It's up to each organisation to work out who can do this and who's best to do it. But there's a question we've got a lot about: can anyone in the organisation sign it? And yeah, anyone can, in the sense that if everyone in the organisation understands this charter and has done some of the training, that's what we're sort of asking people to do, is watch these webinars, get an understanding of the charter itself. But it doesn't matter if it's the direct care worker or it's the chef who's sitting down and taking people through it and having a conversation. It'll be different for different organisations.
Yeah.
And so that is really freeing. I think that's really empowering of staff as well, to say, let's let lots of people know about this. Doing sessions like that with Lila, or doing like today, we've got a group of people listening to us today. So hi, back out to you guys as well in the ACT.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about this, is it can be done in very different ways, as long as it's explained to people and people say, yeah, I understand this now.
Yeah.
And then the provider,
Yeah.
providing the signed copy, seeing if someone's happy to sign it, come back. The other thing is probably about where it sits as well. We would encourage that it doesn't get put just as a schedule to the service agreement or the contract. That's traditionally where it's kind of sat in the past. This is about bringing it out to the light, out and proud. So give people a copy. Wittringham in Victoria, making sure that everyone gets a laminated copy that sits in their cupboard or beside their bed in their drawer, so that they know that their rights are going to be upheld every single day.
And that was the problem previously, wasn't it? That their rights were always included in the agreements, but how many people sit down and read a 50-page agreement? So this is really bringing it outside the agreement, saying, no, this is personal between you and the consumer, not between the person who's read through your contract or whatever it is. This is the consumer, and once again, we're saying the consumer-centred care. It's really important that is acknowledged.
Yeah, they're driving their aged care, aren't they? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And some key components is that it is understandable, so that it is delivered in a manner and a time frame and an environment that the consumer can take their time to really look at it and go ahead and then sign it. So it may be a couple of times that they will ask or go over it, or continuously, I mean. So we're getting lots and lots of Q&A here. So we have Sonia. Does it need to be signed by the resident, or can a representative for them sign it, such as a son and or daughter? Marg.
Yeah, look, this is obviously a major concern, and it's a question we get all the time. Especially with residential care, when you do have a high proportion of people who lack capacity. But as we all know, capacity is fairly elastic, and so if you think that the resident has the capacity to understand most elements of the charter, and you want to explain it to them with someone with them, so maybe their legal representative or a family member with them, that would be a good way to go about it. And the only time you wouldn't ask someone to sign their own charter would be, for example, if they if it would confuse them or would be totally beyond their capacity to understand it, and then of course you would go with the legal representative or a family member. So it's up to the aged care provider to use their common sense and their knowledge of the older person as to what's appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, Christine, can you please repeat where the template for signing is located?
Okay, so health.gov.au, and I think it's their section there. I won't try and give the little URL completely.
Yes.
But there's an aged care section there in resources, and there's a button there that talks about Charter of Aged Care Rights. And the template for this sits in there.
Yeah.
It's also been translated into 18 languages. And some of the other resources will be translated as well. One of the questions we've also had is, can we put our own logo on it, or can we change this? So putting your logo on there, absolutely. I checked with the department and they said, yes, you can sort of pretty it up and that sort of thing, but it's important that the same wording is there, particularly the signing down the bottom. And the charter is the charter.
Charter is the charter.
Charter is the charter. So the 14 rights are the 14 rights, and you can't sort of, I suppose, add or detract from those and take them away. And that's important, that there is a standard understanding of what the rights are.
Yeah.
So if you want to actually say, I want to add in a right that we've got you've got a responsibility to pay your bills.
Yeah.
Older people have been paying their bills for
a long time.
Yeah. So that is probably best set in a code of conduct or something else, another piece of paper. Keep the rights as the rights.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, another question from Sonia. Thank you, Sonia, bringing them through. Do we give the resident the original signed copy, or should we keep a scanned copy?
I don't think it actually matters. I suppose, yeah, I think give them the original, only because it's gone. Yes, there is. That's mine. I get the original. As long as you've got a copy, I think keeping a copy in there and and also documenting the things you might have done.
Yeah.
So particularly if someone says, I don't feel comfortable signing.
Yeah.
The fact is that we explained it to them. We actually asked them about why they were concerned. This is the reasons why. So it's important to keep a record, but which one that is, it's up to you. But really, maybe giving the person the original might make them feel more special.
Empowered.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's empowering. Absolutely. One last one, and this is from Mel. So, does this mean one per client with an organisation, no matter how many staff from that organisation interact with the client?
Yes. So, it's the responsibility of the provider who has an agreement with the older person to do that. So if you've got 100 staff and this is one resident, one provider. Where it does get a little bit different is where someone might have, it's the one older person and they're receiving Commonwealth Home Support services, and there might be multiple aged care providers or services coming to them. It is important that each of those, the requirement under the legislation, is that each of those providers give them a copy. Now, if it comes to the point the person said, I've already got that, you just go, great, thanks.
Nice one.
We just want to make sure that you know that we're going to hold up your rights as person down the road or provider down the road is doing that as well. So the responsibility is on the provider to make sure they've done this for each of their clients, residents, older people.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we've got some fantastic Q&A, so thank you for all of that. Now, the timeline for implementing the new Charter of Aged Care Rights, it's coming closer each webinar, isn't it?
Yep.
So we have a slide that will give you the dates, but I'm going to go to you, Craig, and see if you can remember them.
See if I can remember them. Fantastic. So for new people coming into aged care, so that's either coming into home care, coming in to be a resident of a facility, from 1 July, it's under this new charter, and you need to give them an explainer copy. Give them a copy, explain it, sign it, do all that process from 1 July if they're a new recipient of aged care.
Yep.
If someone is already receiving aged care, there's been a recognition that it might take some time to work this through and do this properly with people. So for residential aged care, that's through till the 30th of September. For home care, that's through to the 31st of December. Yeah. And CHSP is still just being worked through a little bit more, but it's likely that it won't be any sooner than that.
No.
So, and what we're saying is we'd encourage people to start the conversation early.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the 28th of whatever month it is there and go, we better send these all out, or we better sit down with everyone now and rush around. Start the conversation early, build this into practice. We realise that it is something else to do in a really busy work day, but if this is done over time and taken in chunks, a number of opportunities, you'll get there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Beautiful. All right, let's look at some resources that we have here. So, and also a step-by-step. We thought this is workforce, we better be a little bit more practical and put some, step-by-step processes in. So some of the things that we decided and we chatted about was, I guess, when you're having the conversation, please utilise the video. It is so self-explanatory. It is easy to understand. You can play it again and again. You can download it to your phone. We did that earlier. We downloaded it to the iPad. You put it on a stick. You can share the hell out of it. It's really a great resource, isn't it?
Yeah. So at the moment that's on opan.com.au/charter. It will be through also links put up onto our Facebook page. It'll be on YouTube. There's all sorts of ways that you can access those videos.
Absolutely. There are the charter itself, the assigning template,
Yes.
the booklet.
The booklet. So I've got a larger size of the booklet here. It actually comes in what's called an A5.
Really nice little size
So
too.
it'll actually be folded like that. But you can see what it looks like. That's available on the Department of Health website. It went up yesterday. Same sort of place where I said the resources around the Aged Care Charter of Rights. It is available for download now, along with the posters. So you can download it and print it out for those ones.
Fantastic.
They're looking at ways of ordering it. That's just still being again worked through. But have a look there. Have a look through. It's a really good resource.
Yeah, it is actually.
Mike, you did part of the review for this, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what did you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of the best explanations I've seen of the rights. It's very clear. It's very easy to understand. It gives examples. It
Some
talks
case
about
studies.
Yep.
Yep.
Talks about responsibilities as well. So it's a really good resource.
Yeah, and there's actually 4. That's one of the concerns that providers did have is about there's no responsibilities anymore. Now, as we've talked about, I have rights. Ray has rights.
Absolutely.
Tom has rights. We will respect each other's rights. And there's actually 4 pages that talk about what that means. I really like to say what is actually my responsibilities. Respect. Treat others with respect. This is what this means. So I think it's done it in a really nice language.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's not condescending or saying
You do.
you do, or you naughty person, naughty old person. It actually is quite a nice way to do it. Just explain why.
Yeah.
So that's there ready for download.
Excellent. Good. Okay, so there I made a whoopsie this time, not Tom. The slide that had for home care, the date is the 31st of December, not September. So that was my bad. I quickly did that this morning and I do apologise. So
Okay.
Thanks
So
for letting us know.
Just so I'll reiterate those dates.
Yeah.
So there's no. It is the 30th of September for current recipients of residential aged care, and it's the 31st of December for home care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely. Question from Amanda.
We'll pick up whoever.
Yeah,
picked that
thank
up.
you. We're real.
Yeah.
My gas bill's due too. Let's have a look. Sorry. Amanda says, we have already educated our residents and we provided them the template and feedback forms in the residents' rooms. Will that be okay? Amanda, fantastic.
Yeah.
On the ball.
Yeah.
On the ball. Great, but I would say it's the signing after the 1st of July. The charter comes in effective 1 July. So great that you're on the ball and started the conversation. Just make sure people do understand it. So it shouldn't just be that here's another form to sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a tick box.
It's not a tick box.
It's a conversation.
Yep.
It's a person and their rights. Absolutely. Erica, can you please repeat where we download the booklet?
Okay, the booklet is at health.gov.au and it's in their aging and aged care section, and there's a section there that talks about resources.
Yes.
Resources for providers. One of the tabs on there is about the Aged Care Charter of Rights resources. So I'd be calling out letters for ages if I gave you the exact URL, but just go and have a little play on the Department of Health's website. We'll put a link up to it on our website with a copy of the booklet there as well. So ours is easier. open.com.au/charter. We'll get you to it. We'll get that up this afternoon.
Yeah, and that number as well, that national number is 1-800-700-600.
Yep.
Excellent. I'm just going to I'm very aware of the time and I'm very aware of your time. Cara says, why is a resident charter and not a consumer charter? I think it is.
It is.
Yes.
It is the Charter of Aged Care Rights, and I
so
think that's why it was different. What did you have?
Yeah, it used to be one for residents, one for home care.
Yeah.
Now it's just Charter of Aged Care Rights, so it's just all aged care. There's no residents' home care or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And that makes sense, I think, for me.
Yeah,
your rights don't change
No.
depending on whether you're at home or whether you're
catching the bus or in Mollywood.
Yeah, in Hollywood. So your rights are your rights if you're receiving Commonwealth home care or Commonwealth aged care. Sorry.
So some key pivotal points. Look at the environment you're having the conversation. and really target it to that consumer, because it's their rights that are driving their aged care, and we need to listen and understand. Prepare yourself about the Charter. Really understand and reflect upon what do those rights mean to you, so that you go into the conversation with a little bit of self-awareness. And that's extremely empowering as well. And you will change the dynamic as an inclusive, sit-down, equal conversation, not looking or a tick box. That's certainly not. Have a cuppa. Don't rush. Get to know each other. Invite anyone who is the support person. Okay, now that could be anybody, whoever they would like. And if it's an advocate, invite the advocate as well. Use the videos, and always remember, please, that it is about the consumer. Sorry, I've got something stuck in my throat. It's about the consumer, and that the consumer does not fit your facility. You work around it and do what's right for the consumer. Lovely. We have some, this is the last of the webinars, but we do have the community events coming up. There is a slide coming up now with some dates, and we have Brisbane, Adelaide, Gold Coast, Perth, Hobart, and there will be one on the 18th of July for Darwin, which we're really looking forward to. Craig and I will be there as well. And Cairns. Sorry. Thanks, Tom. Whilst I'm on that, we have had an amazing team to put these webinars and community events together, haven't we? We only sat down, 2 months ago to really start planning this. And I'd really like to say a big thank you to Rachel, Claire, Trav and Tom. Without you guys, we just wouldn't be here at all. You hear that, Claire? Excellent. So if there are any more questions, I'll just check. Anything you would like to say further?
No, feel free to, if you have an older person, consumer, or resident who actually doesn't quite understand this or has some questions, 1-800-700-600, and they can talk to someone about their rights. That's what the aged care advocates are there for, to help people to understand and stand up for their rights. So there's always that. There's the resources there. We'll make sure that the links get out to people as well, and just encourage you to use this as an ongoing opportunity to reinforce the great care that you're delivering out there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just feel free to call us if you've got any questions. We're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. One quick last one from Mel. Does the charter agreement expire, or does it need, like every 12 months, does it need to be redone?
No. So the charter doesn't expire. It's not like a contract in that sense that it's got a time period. As I said, the charter is the charter. Your rights are your rights. And this is now, I suppose, that new era for the aged care sector as we move into the new set of quality standards, and we'll continue to explore that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use this as an ongoing obligation. Obligation for a conversation. So keep chatting about it, keep reinforcing the rights with people. It's not something to put away and hide in the drawer. It's something to keep talking about and saying, how can I meet your expectations? That's what it's all about. How do I meet your expectations?
Excellent. I'd also like to thank our amazing panellists that we've had, and today, Margie, I know you've put a lot of work in, and you've travelled a great deal. So thank you so much. Thanks for your expertise and time. And that is a wrap. Anything else?
No, just a thank you to Marie for her facilitation of these events.
I loved it.
And good luck to you all in doing this and the importance that this is. So thank you for giving your time and commitment to this.
Yeah, and all the best. And we know you work really hard and do amazing things. And goodbye to Southern Cross Care. See you, everybody.